What's going on, everyone? We are back with a little bit more of this league format action for the Token Minorities March Madness tournament, and I'm really excited to bring you guys this game as it ended up being a great game. So shout out to Galvantula Tank for such a quality battle in this one. So pretty much we're already at the battle, so you guys know that we're kind of not going to be doing the whole team builder thing. I decided that was a little bit more lengthier, and it was just a little bit more than I wanted to do with these. I kind of just want to go over these a little bit quicker until we get into more of those higher level battles. Hopefully we get into those higher level battles if we make it out of our pool, obviously, and then we can make it out of another pool, I think, after that, because I think there's 2 sets of pools, and then you finally get into the round of 64 or 32. I'm not sure, one of those two. So yeah, I won't be doing lengthier team builders like I did previously until we make it a little bit further in this huge tournament. But anyways, though, this is our battle against Galvantula Tank in our pool V, and his entire team is going to consist of Tapu Koko, Jirachi, Mega Altaria, Entei, Gyarados, Tangrowth, Flygon, and Heracross. And as you can see, he decided to bring the Flygon, Tapu Koko, Entei, Heracross, Jirachi, and Mega Altaria. So looking at the matchup, I know that Tapu Koko can be a really big deal if it does run Grass Knot for my Donphan. That is why I am AV on my Donphan, though. But Tapu Koko can be a huge threat for my team, especially if it has HP Poison for my Bulu. That'll do a little bit more damage than I would like it to do. So another thing we'll have to be pretty wary of. What else can be a pretty big threat? Altaria with Dragon Dance can be a pretty huge threat. I really don't have the best answer to that. I just have to keep Talonflame at a good enough health to where it can revenge that. So that's another pretty scary thing that we'll have to look out for. And if my opponent brought the Z move on Jirachi, that can obviously also be scary. And Heracross, just what exactly it's going to do, I'm not really familiar with playing against Heracross, so it's definitely really scary because I know how powerful it is, though. I just don't really play against it much myself, so Heracross can also be scary. Our team, though, we did bring Hydreigon. A Hydreigon is going to be a Scarf Hydreigon, just so that we can outspeed the Tapu Koko and go for an Earth Power. The rolls in our favor to Oko that. We can go for the Dark Pulse on Jirachi if it's like a really speedy set, and always be faster than that as long as it's not Scarf. And yeah, I just liked Scarf Hydreigon in this one, especially because I thought Scarf Flygon was a possibility for my opponent, and they did decide to bring that. Usually when Flygon's brought, it usually is Scarf, so that's something to consider as well. Then we also brought another Scarf right after, and we brought Scarf Magnezone. I really wanted to Magnezone to be as threatening as possible in this one, and definitely Scarfing Magnezone was a top priority for me. And the fact that I wanted it to be able to get hits off on Mega Altaria before Altaria could EQ or Fire Blast it. I wanted to be able to get a Volt Switch off on things like Entei before it could Sacred Fire us. And obviously wanted to make sure we're faster than that Heracross. And what are the 2 Pokemon my opponent didn't bring? Oh, definitely wanted to be faster than Gyarados and be able to threaten it as much as possible. And then I guess Tangrowth wasn't that big of an issue. EQ Tangrowth wouldn't have done too much to Magnezone. Done decent damage, but not too big of a deal. Then we have Donphan, and this is a set that I unfortunately messed up on. It is AV, but right before the matchup, I realized how good rocks were going to be in this one. I knew I really wanted rocks, so I ended up switching Ice Shard to rocks. And I completely looked over the fact that Assault Vest, obviously you can't run a move like Stealth Rocks and actually expect to be able to go for it. So we ended up getting into the match, and I realized once I lead with Donphan, spoiler alert, once I lead with Donphan that we are not able to go for rocks. So I just have a wasted move, and I would have just ran like a Rocky Helmet, really special defensive, but also pretty decently HP invested Donphan if I would have realized exactly the mistake that I made. But unfortunately I didn't realize that until we hopped right into the game. So not only a wasted move, but a really big wasted move, and not having rocks. And you guys will see how big of a deal that is once you see how much switching happens in this game. Then we just have a very standard Vaporeon, but just with Scald, Wish Protect, and kind of the exact same set, the EV spread we had in the last battle for this tournament. But this time I'm running HP Electric just so the Gyarados doesn't feel like it can set up on us, just so it doesn't think it can do that at all. Unfortunately, there's no Gyarados, but Vaporeon still has a really good matchup in this one against everything that's not Tapu Koko and Heracross. Then we have Choice Banded, Tapu Bulu. I already have 2 Scarfers, definitely don't want to Scarf it as well. And I didn't really like it as a Scarf in this one, considering my opponent, they actually have switch-ins for it. So I like Choice Band to just hit as hard as possible and just try to really just kind of chunk away at things health when I do come in with Bulu. And then last but not least, we're rocking out with Talonflame again, and it's going to be a fully adamant set with 172 in speed and outspeeding everything but that Tapu Koko. I didn't think outspeeding Tapu Koko was necessary, and well, not even possible. I just kind of need to keep our Gale Wings intact so that we can go for the priority Fly EMZ, because we are running the Z Crystal on our Talonflame for this battle this time. So hopefully all that works out. So leads, I'm thinking Donphan because I know I have the rocks and everything, and I know my opponent will likely not have anything that can OHKO Donphan. So I'm thinking let's lead Donphan and just try to get up rocks, because that can be great for us. But as you'll see, I am a Soul Vest and I'm not able to go for those rocks. So that's really unfortunate, but let's just play this battle. So alright, I do lead with my Donphan as my opponent does lead with Flygon, so Rocky Helmet would have been nice there already, and then setting up rocks would have been beautiful there. I just go for a knockoff, realizing that I can't go for a, and let me slow this down a little, that's way too fast for me. I just go for the knockoff, realizing that I cannot go for the rocks there, so that's really demoralizing for me, honestly. That was really sad. Here though, I didn't know what this Heracross really wanted to do. I don't have the best switch-ins into Heracross at all. I guess Talonflame kinda, but I really want to keep Talonflame's Gale Wings together just in case we really need a priority Fly MZ. So I go into Vaporeon, and my opponent reveals Bullet Seed. Thankfully, they only get 2 hits with the Bullet Seed, so that's great for us. I protect this turn, trying to scout out exactly what this Heracross would want to go for now. It does go for a knockoff, and I actually have 0 knockoff switch-ins. I don't want either of my Scarfers to lose their item. I do not want Donphan to lose its Soul Vest, because that's literally all that it really kind of got going for it now. It's considering that it isn't, that I'm not going to be able to set up those rocks. Don't want to lose my band on Bulu, and like I said before, I really do not. I want to keep Gale Wings together for Talonflame, and as soon as it takes damage, Gale Wing will no longer give it that priority flying type moves. So I decide to just stay in here with Vaporeon and go for a Scald, because I didn't have another choice. But I did kind of have a huge hunch that this would be a Guts Heracross, and unfortunately we do snag the burn on that Heracross. And I know I could have protected here and kind of stalled it out, but I wanted to see, was it definitely Guts Heracross, and it is going to be Guts Heracross. So that's actually a huge deal, because Vaporeon had one of the best matchups out of anything on my team. As long as it wasn't Tapu Koko or this or the Guts boosted Heracross, Vaporeon was in a very had to get that burn, and that's just the way Pokemon works. When you want to burn, you don't get it, and when you don't want to burn, you get it. So unfortunately that's going to happen here though. I just go right into Magnezone, and I am just going to Volt Switch off of this Pokemon, and we will knock it out. And then I go into Donphan because it has the most neutral matchups out of anything on my team. So why not go into that? My opponent does go into their Altaria, and I switch right back out into Magnezone. And here I don't really play this you're going to see these next several turns, I don't play this as well as I wanted to. My opponent does go for a Hyper Voice, and here though I should have went for a Volt Switch, but I was really afraid of my opponent having EQ or Fire Blast, and them thinking they can go for it there. But either of those wouldn't have been the biggest deal. I could have just went into Donphan on either of those. So unfortunately I went for the Flash Cannon, and my opponent is going to be able to just go into Jirachi, eat that up, and then proceed to U-turn off of Donphan. Obviously still don't have the Rocky Helmets, so they're not going to be taking any residual from that, so it's also a pretty big deal. And here I actually just stay in and EQ, because I thought my opponent would try to make a prediction with the Magnezone, but they're actually playing really straightforward, and I end up just letting Donphan go down here, considering that it didn't have the rocks, so I didn't see it as the most important set, but I could have definitely played this better, and I do think keeping Donphan around a little bit longer for the Tapu Koko would have been really nice for us. So I don't think I played that correctly. I do think I could have just went into Magnezone again, and like Volt switched off the Altaria, got the Jirachi in, and then kind of went from there and kind of went back into Donphan and forced my opponent to make some moves. However, though, let's go back a turn. Sorry. Alright, so we do Thunderbolt the Altaria, and we do take it out after we lose our Donphan. And here, though, I do predict that my opponent will just go for a U-turn. I can kind of tell by the way they're playing that they're kind of playing to be ahead with all the U-turning and switching. So predicting that, I stay in and just go for another Thunderbolt. I'm obviously Scarf, so I don't really have another choice. And sorry that my phone just went off. I really hate when that happens. But I was really surprised that the Tapu Koko not only had a move for the Magnezone, but that it also KO'd. Must have a decent amount of special attack investment if that was able to take us out. I guess it was HP Ground or something. I would assume that it was HP Ground. And let's stop it again here. So unfortunately, after I do get some solid damage on a prediction that my opponent would not go for the EQ with Flygon, knowing that Flygon was likely Scarf and they just want to go for the U-turn. Getting that prediction and getting that solid damage on Koko was nice, but then we lose Magnezone, and Magnezone would have been really, really nice to still have, but I didn't expect any move for Tapu Koko to have to take us out, but I guess that's a really special attack invested Tapu Koko to take us out with that HP Ground. Now that we go into Tapu Bulu's, my opponent Volt switches off of us, and here I was predicting the Entei to come in. I thought Entei would want to take a Wood Hammer. I guess it still takes a good chunk though from Wood Hammer, so maybe not the best prediction on my part, but I thought my opponent would want to go into Entei, so I went for the Stone Edge here, and unfortunately Jirachi just comes in, and I should have kind of realized that Jirachi was a really solid switching into this. So here though, this is one of the biggest sequences in the game because of the fact that my opponent goes for Stealth Rocks on my Talonflame switching. So if I would have switched into Hydreigon, that would have been terrible because then Talonflame would eventually have to come in on rocks. And that's the last thing I want to happen. Like I said, this whole time I've been trying to preserve. It's a really fast game. There's a decent amount of switching, but this game is also still really fast. And this whole time so far, I've been trying to preserve Gale Wings for my Talonflame because I know we'll kind of need it. So I was able to switch it on rocks, which is really, really nice. And here I'm praying my opponent doesn't go for attack and get rid of our Gale Wings. I'm hoping they go into something else and I can just maybe get a burn off on it or something. And the best case scenario would be if my opponent went into Tapu Koko here and did not go for a U-turn or any type of attack with this Jirachi, because I'm just going to go for the Will-O-Wisp because I just want to burn, and I'm hoping that I somehow don't take damage. So I end up going for the Will-O-Wisp here, and Tapu Koko does come in, so that's actually great for us, as my opponent probably expected that they knew a Brave Bird wouldn't take them out. And they thought they were in a pretty good position, but I do reveal the Fly MZ here, so we will Supersonic Sky Strike this Tapu Koko, and we would have been slower than it, but because of Gale Wings still being intact for us, we were able to go faster than anything, and definitely that Koko. So now Entei comes in, and I just start to Brave Bird down, not really wanting to switch anything in on a Entei, and I just start to Brave Bird down, knowing my opponent would have to hit a Stone Edge to really do any considerable damage to us, and they unfortunately missed 2 Stone Edges. One would have just been enough. I don't think I really needed them to miss both of these, but it did change the way that this end game goes, and that's just really unfortunate by my opponent. But we also did burn that freaking that Heracross, and that was a huge deal, as Vaporeon did so much for us in this matchup. Here though, my opponent is going to reveal their Flygon, and they're going to reveal that they are Scarf on Flygon. So we just go into Bulu right after that, after they take out Talonflame with Rock Slide, and we will take a Rock Slide. Hopefully we don't get flinched, and we don't get flinched, and we are able to Wood Hammer and Oko that Flygon, so that's great. Now it's just Hydreigon and Tapu Bulu versus Jirachi. So here I just go for another Wood Hammer, definitely not switching out, as Jirachi is able to take out Tapu Bulu. So now this endgame is going to 100% come down to, does my opponent have a Fairy type move for this Hydreigon? And if they actually do have the Fairy type move, if it's Play Rough, they have to hit the Play Rough. They can obviously miss Play Rough, so they'll have to hit the Play Rough if they're running Play Rough. And if they are running Moonblast, then they will have to not just get flinched here, because after the rocks damage, the rolls, it's pretty much a almost 100% chance for them to take us out with a Moonblast here. So we will need to flinch with Dark Pulse for us to not lose to a Moonblast. and we do go for the Dark Pulse. Bring our opponent down to 30%, and we do flinch them, and that's just absolutely humongous. I felt really bad, told my opponent sorry and everything, because that is going to cost them the game. After the game, we discussed it, and they did actually have Moonblast for the Hydreigon because they didn't want to risk missing a play rough. So the Moonblast at the health we were at, they weren't a special attack reducing nature. Even though they did reveal Iron Head, they were what nature were they? I can't remember what exact nature they were, but they weren't minusing their special attack at all. So that gave them a really solid chance to KO Hydreigon with a Moonblast. But unfortunately, we did end up getting that Dark Pulse. We did get that Dark Pulse flinch and take out their Jirachi. So that is GG's. Amazing game to my opponent. They played extremely well, and they just kind of did what they needed to. There was many places where I could have improved in this game, and I'm glad I had a game. I'm glad we were able to win this game, even though I didn't 100% deserve. I didn't deserve to win this game, but I'm glad we were able to snag the win because I definitely want to advance. And on top of that, I'm glad I'm able to reflect on exactly what I can improve from in this game. One being that I should have just volt switched with my Magnezone. If Altaria attacked, I could have just went into Donphan. It didn't put me in the worst position at all. So next time I know kind of fully evaluate scenarios and don't just go for the obvious play, as that kind of put me in a poor position with my Donphan to where I ended up just kind of sacking I just ended up I did get the Altaria really weakened and ended up just being able to take it out with a Thunderbolt, but I could have played that better in my opinion and ended up in a scenario where my Donphan wasn't sacrificed for the Altaria. And also I think I could have played the if my Donphan set was actually a decent set, if it was the Rocky Helmet set with the Stealth Rocks with a lot of special defense investment, but obviously it's a really defensively bulky Pokemon, so those U-turns would have been doing negligible damage, and we would have been getting a slight chip on all our opponent's Pokemon. I do feel like Donphan could have been a much bigger deal, especially with Stealth Rocks. Not having Stealth Rocks was huge, and that just really sucked. Obviously, the Scald Burn on Heracross is also really sucked because Vaporeon did a lot for us in this matchup, but that's something I have to live with, considering that Scald does have a high chance to burn in Pokemon terms, but yeah, that was just still pretty unfortunate though, because Vaporeon would have put me in a much better position if I wouldn't have lost it there. But yeah, I do know where I need to improve though. I really didn't play. I didn't use Magnezone nearly as well as I used it the previous time. At least I did get that Thunderbolt prediction though when my opponent brought in the Flygon and went for U-turn, because I had a good hunch it was Scarf, and I had a good hunch they would just U-turn with the way they were playing, trying to be ahead. But yeah, mainly the Donphan set. I would have much appreciated a much better Donphan set. So next time I will have to double and maybe even triple check my team before we get into these matches. But anyways though, thank you guys for tuning in into this video for the Token Minorities March Madness tournament. Once again, shout out to them for hosting this. This is just such a fun event, and as you can see, there's some quality games here to be played, as we just had an amazing game against Galvantula tank. There was one last thing. I do hope he's able to progress out of this bracket, because he did showcase that he is a solid battler. So I'm hoping he is the one who is able to advance from this pull play stage and make it on to the next pull play stage, because he really didn't deserve to lose this game. I did get the flinch, and that was pretty much game. But yeah, so hopefully he's able to still progress, so this doesn't end up pretty much biting him in the ass, honestly. But that's gonna be it for me though, guys. Thank you so much for tuning into this video. I'll see you guys in the next video for this tournament. It shouldn't be until like the weekend though, because of the fact that there's only 2 more people for me to battle, and both of them said they can't play till the weekend. So we'll do that once the weekend comes. For now though, I'm gonna get the heck out of here. Peace out, guys.